there was like 3 or 4 companies in the state of Colorado. There was us, Enstrom on the west side. There was Hammond's, and Chet and Emil were really good friends with Tommy Hammond. So there was Hammond Candies. Now that's been sold a couple of times, and you guys are probably familiar with Hammond's now. And then there was also Stephanie's. And the Poulos brothers owned Stephanie's Chocolates, and they were famous for the Denver Mint and what have you. And another gentleman came along and bought Stephanie's from the Poulos brothers, and he kind of, to our consternation, started making Colorado almond toffee. You know, but in honesty, it wasn't that good. Anyway, and the proof's in the pudding, because in 2006, Stephanie's went bankrupt. And I stumbled across, I didn't really know this was happening. I was just in the right time at the right place and found out they were going to auction off the assets to Stephanie's, and I showed up at the auction at the bank, unannounced. And one thing led to another, and I was the successful bidder, and I bought the assets to Stephanie's Chocolates, which was the Stephanie's Chocolates brand, the Denver Mint brand, and Colorado Almond Toffee, which was kind of the driving force behind that. I wanted to have that brand. And so the landlord's at the auction, and I was successful, and he says, look, we need to talk because I own the building that they're operating in. And I said, and the plant was intact in there, and there were people waiting in the wings maybe to come back and bring that plant back to life. And they had been doing some nice wholesale business with Safeway, some of the other larger outlets. And so he says, I need you to sign a 10-year lease. And I said, you know, I've owned this for 5 minutes. I'm not signing a 10-year lease. I said, we're going to have to talk about this. And so we left the bank, and I'm still scratching my head and wondering what I've just done. And because I paid $1.4 million for this assets at Stephanie's, because before that I called the banker. I said, I'm going to this auction. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think I've got some room here, don't I? So we end up with that. And the landlord was being very stubborn. I said, look, I am not, if you either sell me this building or I'm going to close it down right now and move the equipment out. So I spent another $3 million on the building. During this time, previous to this, I had always dreamt and thought about, could we develop a system that would make our almond toffee continuously? Because there's some real advantages to that if you can have a nice warm slab of toffee coming down a line of equipment where you can cut it to size and then you can completely enrobe it. And because this toffee, our premier product, is made in big slabs and you broke it and has the open edge, and the oxygen can get to the butterfat very easily. Cocoa butter is a very stable fat. And so when you put a piece of toffee inside the chocolate and have the chocolate keeping that toffee fresh, it's your first package. So now, if we could get to that point, because we were doing some stuff where we would pour a slab of toffee out and we'd take a gang cutter and we'd roll it through and we'd cut it into squares and we'd run them through the chocolate car wash and we'd make toffee squares. And we discovered that they were lasting a very long time because the toffee was staying fresh inside the chocolate. And so I wanted to figure out how to do this. So at the same time as the Stephanie's purchase, I was already underway in working with a company out of Holland to help us design a machine that would cook toffee continuously. And they proved to me that they could do it. I was over there for a while, and they proved that they could do it, and we decided to buy a prototype system. And that system was probably $1.5 million to $2 million. And since we had just purchased the Stephanie's thing, I thought, well, we're going to be big in chocolate, so let's buy this big chocolate depositor. It's a one-shot depositor, and they call it one-shot because it makes the shell and puts a truffle center in, or whatever center you like, at the same time. Because there's 60 nozzles, but each nozzle is a pipe within the pipe. So the chocolate's in the outer pipe, and the center material's in the inner pipe, and as it deposits, it starts with the shell, and then continues with the shell and puts the center in, and then the center stops, and then the chocolate stops. And so you can do all these shell molded chocolates. So I bought another machine for another some odd $1.5 million. And I'm telling you, I thought I was pretty damn smart. I'm going like, this is easy. Everything I touch is just turning to gold. Well, you all know what happened in 2008. And I'm up to here at the bank, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm the guy that's going to take this legacy business in the dirt. And damn near did. But to compound that, we did get this toffee machine running. And I was convinced that it was the neatest thing since sliced bread. The toffee was very good. And I thought, well, you know, instead of breaking that up, what about if we cut pieces this size? And we do make them about a ½ pound. We can put 2 half-pound slabs in there. Beautiful, all nicely enrobed and coated with nuts and the whole bit. And we got to going and blowing. And what we didn't realize, when we make our toffee by hand, and I'm sorry, there's a little bit of detail here, but we pour it out on the slab and then we spread it to about 1 nut thick. And then we cut it into 5 big pieces, and then we flip the pieces over and roll it a little bit, push them back together. It's still kind of warm, so you can bend it and what have you, and it'll stick back together. Well, that whole process, we didn't realize, is that the tables are cool. They have cool water running in them. And so the skin on the toffee gets brittle. And as you pick it up and bend it, you're actually fracturing it, and you're putting a bunch of cracks in the surface and what have you. And what we found on the machine, we thought we were doing a great job, and we made a lot of product and we put it in the freezer. The toffee never gets turned over on the machine, so the top is just beautifully smooth and buttery. And when you freeze it, you get a difference in the expansion and contraction rates, and the top layer of chocolate, when people would go to break it, it would just go boing. And it was different. And we shipped a bunch of this toffee because I was pretty bullheaded. I said, this dang thing is going to work and we're going to put it out there. And all of a sudden the phone's ringing for the wrong reason. Everybody's getting their toffee and they're going like, and here's the interesting thing. They didn't say, what did you do to your toffee? They said, what did you do to my toffee? And by God, we figured out what was going on, and we just thought, oh my gosh. We kind of figured this out halfway through, but we had so much product made we had to ship it. And so we instantly went back to the kettles and started making toffee the old way, like crazy. We gave people their money back, we replaced their candy, and the whole thing. So not only were we up to here at the bank, not only had the economy just gone south, but we had a real faux pas with the quality of our product. And so, you know, all's well that ends well. I tell you, those kinds of lessons are very valuable for everybody in business. I think we've all been there a time or two. But the planets were aligning, and they were aligning the wrong way. So we did make it through that. We did get the toffee machine working properly, and we figured out, we messed around with a lot of things, but the tensile strength of the chocolate on a smaller piece is a lot better than it is on a big slab. And then it was really, you know, as we say, problems are opportunities. And this problem caused us to go back and say, you know what, let's still make our hero toffee the way we've always done it. Let's use the machine for the wholesale business and stick Stephanie's on there, etc., and do smaller pieces. So we started doing that, and we developed a little 2-pound jar, plastic jar of toffee under the Stephanie's brand, and we showed it to Costco. And they went, well, we really like this. It was really selling well and everything. And in fact, corporate noticed it, and they said, you know, that's so good that we want to take it under our Kirkland Signature brand. So so we were producing under Stephanie's and doing some things there and doing some chocolates and what have you. And then Costco decided to take the product under their house brand. And we did that product for a little over 3 years, and it ended up being system-wide. And so out of the ashes of all the mistakes I made during the first decade of the 2000s, we came out of that in flying colors, and we made a big mark. And we also learned that when you couple contract manufacturing or private labeling and making candy for other people under their brands, etc., and combine it with our treasured mail order company, that the combination is pretty darn good. And since that point in time, we have just, we've really blossomed, and we have a lot of opportunity going on right now. The business is in good shape.